Here I have my painting that I started, I showed you the other day. Here's a printout, and here's the computer image. So you can see that the colors are very different. I know that the computer image is more realistic, so I'm going to use that as my main guide, but also use my printout to help me get close. When I was trying to match my colors to the sky looking at the computer, I first tried ultramarine blue and white, and it wasn't matching up because the color in the computer I could see has a little bit of a cast of a green to it. So I added a little cadmium yellow to my blue, and that was getting closer to it, and then put more white in there to come up with the color. Make sure you're keeping a record of what you're doing, and then remember to match the brush strokes to what you see. Add a little bit more white so I have a nice light one, and I can see my computer screen over there. You can't see it, but if you remember when I showed you a demo, I needed to go a little bit more in this direction because I had too much of my brush strokes going like this, and when I looked at Hopper's painting, his was going more like this. I'm going to do a little bit of, it's wet blending right now just to break it up, but I've got my blue color back in there. Got a little bit of glare on there. And remember, it's going to dry a little darker, right? Running out, so I'll add a little bit more yellow back in. And what I love is, if I work pretty fast, let's say I mess it up a little, I can always dry brush in there. Remember to start with white and add your color in to keep it light enough. I like having my palette, this clear palette I can see right through to see if I got about the right value. I want you to see how it's going to dry a little bit darker. And you can see how my hue pigment is a little bit different at the beginning. And I like about that Edward Hopper, I can show some of the value through. Now I'm getting like I like. Let me show you back in the painting. I'm getting some of that brush stroke. I don't know if you can see it very well. Oh, not very well to show you in person. And I'm going to go ahead and do that all the way around the lighthouse. Remember, my picture looks like this. Go ahead and put the sky in. Notice how it's a little bit lighter down in the corner. I'll make sure I get that in the painting, and I'll show you my next steps in a little bit. On my palette, I want to show you that I have that blue that I like, and then I added a little bit darker too, so I have a nice variety of values that I can work from while I'm trying to mix. I saw in the painting that there was a little bit of dark green up around that top of the lighthouse, so I'm putting that underneath, and then I'll come back in with some blue to blend it out. Do a little dry brush. I'll show you that, how I'm going to do that. Take the paint off the brush. Should be starting to dry already. And get my rough, not so good brush. Get some of that darker blue I think is going to be happening there. Remember when we learned how to dry brush? Took a lot of the paint off the brush. And I can come back in and blend that green right back in so it just shows up through the blue a little bit. And Hopper doesn't have that kind of rough stroke, so I'll go back in and smooth it out a little bit. Dry brush it in. Let it dry just a little bit. And then get rid of those little spots. Right now I'm going back over, bringing in some blue because my blue had gotten a little too green. So I'm bringing back in some of the ultramarine blue and white, but letting some of the ultramarine blue and white and cadmium yellow show through, because when I look at the Edward Hopper painting up close, that's what I'm seeing he did. And you noticed earlier in the time-lapse part I was using my skinnier brush to come in close, and on some parts of the painting there's this skinny little part of the railing of the lighthouse I don't want to lose, so I'll go ahead and bring my blue in and come right up to my drawing, not completely disappear, not completely lose it, but close enough that I can find it again. And notice, even though my values aren't matching exactly right there, I can come back in and do a little bit of dry brush to blend those blues back in. Look at the part of the railing up here on the lighthouse. Again, I want to be able to see where my drawing is, but I'll be coming back in and painting it in more accurately. I'll put the blue around it. Just give a hint so I can still see where it's going to be. And can you notice when I'm putting on that blue paint how it looks a little lighter until it starts drying?